Welcome to another great episode of Oversteer TV, the podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Castner, and my co host over there, Jeff Brown, the yellow shirt, his
Oh,
famous Savannah Banana yellow shirt.
yeah, I wear it for every podcast now, whether it's clean or not. Right now, it's not.
Nobody can tell. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm pissed. I am pissed. I'm pissed. I'm pissed at the FIA. I'm pissed at the stewards. They gave penalties to Max Verstappen when they should have given penalties to Lando Norris. He should have been disqualified. They should have deducted points for being a pretentious jerk. But we listened to the Formula One races on Sky Sports, and everything's about the UK racers. And if anybody doesn't come from the United Kingdom, they suck and they're evil. Anyway, what's going on in NASCAR?
I'm just glad they finally decided to penalize Verstappen. I think they gave him the 10-second penalty to make up for the penalties they should have gave him the race before.
For what? For what? For racing? For racing? For making Lando his
For,
bitch? That's what he does.
for running people off the track. I mean, come on.
Well, yeah, don't go off the track then. What you do, Lando, when your balls finally drop, you go into the corner. If Max tries to push you out, you just push right into Max and push him back across. That's what
Then
men do.
we
That's
can
what
finish
real
later.
racers. That's what real racers do. You think Senna would have been off the track like that and crying like the little girl you are? No. You think Prost would have done that? You think Schumacher would have just gone little boy and kept going? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what a real
I don't know if
champion
you keep
does.
going.
All right. That's what a real champion does.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ferrari won again and Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, you predicted that. That was your
Yeah.
prediction of who was going to win.
And I've said it in the beginning
Congratulations.
when I first heard the news that they were going to let Carlos Sainz go after this year, and replace him with Lewis Hamilton. I said at the beginning of the year, they're letting the wrong guy go. They should have get rid of Leclerc and kept Sainz. But no. Leclerc is fast and Leclerc is great when he starts at the front. He's not a good passer. He's kind of in the Lando Norris kind of, waiting for his testicles to descend type of motivation there. Sainz, they've been treating him like a number two driver, and he's already won a couple of races this year. You treat Sainz like the way they treat Leclerc, Sainz will probably be battling for the world championship this year.
Maybe
Mm-hmm.
if they didn't wait half a season before they came on,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't. Ferrari didn't have this resurgence until the last couple of races,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden now they're the class of the field.
Now they're the class, and they got another track in Brazil coming up that looks like they'll probably do well again. They're only 29 points behind McLaren for the manufacturers championship, which is the most important everybody cares and talks about the drivers championship, but the more important championships are manufacturers, because that's where the money's attached to. That what decides how much money you get in prize money, the teams. So,
Well, they don't give me any of the money, so I'm just worrying about the drivers' championship.
so Ferrari's closing in on that.
Pays the same to
uh, Piastri disappointed me, but then again, he got kind of in qualifying, he got kind of screwed over, even though I think he finished 10th, or he finished 8th. He was catching up to one that he was catching up near the end there.
me.
In qualifying, they said he went off course and they took away his time, and so he never made it out of Q1. The other big story in Formula One is people aren't talking about it is Haas, the American Formula One team. They've been doing quite well lately.
Yeah, speaking of resurgence, right?
Yeah, Magnussen came in 7th, and Hulkenberg, who's leaving the team, came in 8th. They are like right now they're the best of the rest. You
Yeah.
have the top 4
Well,
teams.
both of us in the top 10 in the points. I mean, that's worth a lot of money to them right there.
Yeah,
Just that.
they're catching up to Aston Martin, who seems to be just falling apart this year. In the last half of the season, they're catching up for 5th place in the manufacturers championship. But if you have the big 4 up in front, you have Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull, Mercedes. And now it's Haas was like right behind, keeping up with the Mercedes most of the race.
Yeah.
It shows you how
Maybe.
good Haas can be once they got rid of Gunther Steiner.
Well, it took him a little while, about a year and a half to do that. But
Yeah.
good for
Gunther
them.
Steiner makes great TV. He says the funny stuff.
Not even then.
The jokes are kind of wearing thin now. I don't know who people still like them. It's like people who watch reruns of Seinfeld. Okay, it's like, yeah, that was funny in the 90s. But yeah, the Haas teams.
Festivus, I get it, Festivus.
Right. Yeah, Festivus. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Yada yada yada. Beer. Yeah, I get it. Okay. What are the things about F1? No. Anyway, so it was a granted the Sainz pretty much ran away with it. LeClerc came in third. I don't know how he let Lando pass him. I don't know. Then again, those poor little guys, those two guys, they didn't want to get their skirts ruffled, I guess, or something, or their panties in a bunch. Oh, I'm going to be so canceled after the stuff I'm saying today. I don't care. Anyway, NASCAR was even fun. Also, they were racing at Homestead at our home track, and I like it that the guy who won drives for the team that's suing NASCAR.
Yeah, and what a finish it was. I mean, those last 10 laps were incredible, and the last lap was absolutely incredible. I mean, spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
Denny Hamlin passes Ryan Blaney like around lap six to go. I mean, and it looks like Hamilton's going to win the race. Hamlin. Hamlin and Hamilton, same guy. So it looks like Hamlin's going to win the race. Then all of a sudden, with like 2 laps to go, Blaney comes up and passes him back for the lead. And then here comes Tyler Riddeck out of nowhere, passes Hamlin on the inside down at the bottom of the track in turn 1 of the last lap for second place, and goes and passes Ryan Blaney on the outside right up next to the wall and turns 3 and 4 of the last lap and wins the race.
It looked
incredible.
It almost as if he flipped a switch and some nitrous went off or something in that car.
Not only did he pass for the lead to win the race on the last lap, but he did it out of 3rd place. He passed 2 cars to take the lead out of the last turn to win the race. I mean, incredible racing, Homestead.
Yeah, incredible. Homestead's probably one of the few tracks where he could have made that pass. 2 cars in the final lap like that.
Exactly. That's why it's a driver's track. The drivers love that track. You can just literally drive anywhere on the track and not be out of the groove. It's just depending on where you want to run. Of course, the up against the wall, I guess, is the fastest and the most banking. So that's most guys, like Tyler Riddeck or Kyle Larson. That's where they like to run anyways, right up against that wall. Which makes it exciting and easy to see.
Yeah, that it does.
The sight lines are great for that when you're right up against the wall.
Well, Homestead, people don't realize it, that the back straight is 30 feet higher than the front straight. The track's tilted towards the stand. So if you're seeing the stand, you can see it all the way around, even if there are trucks in the
when you're going through turn 1 and 2, you're going uphill.
Right.
And when you're coming 3 and 4, you're going downhill. That's why a majority of the spin outs come on 3 and 4, because you're going downhill. So that's where the car gets light and the back end come out from underneath of it.
So how's the championship looking right now? Ooh.
Well, Kyle Larson right now is in the 5th spot, which puts him out of the championship 4. But they have one more race in Martinsville that he can try to get that back. And Denny Hamlin, incredibly, is still in it. He has not found a way to lose this championship yet. But we'll see, like you said before, Michael Jordan won this race. This is the most animated I've seen him since he's been at the races. You know, usually he's very subdued. He doesn't talk a lot. You know, he doesn't do a lot of interviews and things like that. When I met him out on the track, you know, barely spoke a few words, just very subdued. And even when they won the race, he was excited, but he was still subdued. But this, he was in Homestead. He's jumping up and down. He's like a little kid, you know. He's hugging everybody. He's picking them up. He's, you know, he's like, I've never seen him this excited. And I'm happy for him. We'll see how the lawsuit comes out.
Well, that's the thing, that by his team winning and his team becoming more popular, it helps his case.
Yeah,
because NASCAR realizes they can't be total jerks. They got to listen to what the fans have to say, and the people start really getting behind Michael Jordan's team and Tyler Riddeck. Then it's like, okay, we got to do something here, because they don't want to piss off a lot of people. They can piss off a little bit.
You're hoping that NASCAR is going to listen to somebody else, and they never do, really. They've got a monopoly on the situation. They own all the tracks, as you pointed out many times.
But they've listened. They listened. They listened to when people said the car tomorrow sucks, and they got rid of that. It
just morphed into the new car,
And they listened when people were saying that it's a joke that they're still running carburetors. Everybody was laughing at them. They go, "We got to do fuel injection." They have the most rudimentary fuel injection known to man, but it's still fuel injection.
Well, the thing about NASCAR is, I think once Bill France Jr. died or stepped down or whether, before that, when it was Bill France Sr. and Bill France Jr., they went decades without changing anything. They weren't. If it wasn't broke, they weren't going to fix it. As soon as he was out of the scene, and I think it was Brian France or whatever, they started making changes, like wholesale changes. They weren't afraid to make changes. And the good thing about the changes was they went back and analyzed after they made the changes to see if they had the intended effect that they wanted or unintended consequences that they didn't want.
Right.
So they analyzed that, and then they were able to keep the things that were good and eliminate the things like you're saying, the car tomorrow with that ugly wing they had on the back and things like that. So they're not afraid to make changes, and they're not afraid to change it back.
Right.
Which I think is a good thing, because if you don't try, then you don't know.
Well, I think they also realized that you had to grow. If you don't grow, expand, you kind of die, become stagnant. And under the old man France, it was a popular, a very lucrative sport, but it was a southern sport. It was a southeast United States sport. They had the occasional races outside, but they realized to grow, they had to expand, and you had to do some changes. And it's not just on the track, on the culture. The other day, I still saw some guy yelling at me because he's so mad that they banned the Confederate flag at tracks. And I'm like, it's 2024, dude. Get with it. Okay.
Like, the Confederate flag, the Confederates lost that war, by the way. So, I mean, you're supporting losers.
Yeah. And it's not only that, it's like, if you can't understand that a large segment of our population finds that flag offensive. Right. So why wouldn't you, if you have a sport, an entertainment company, and you want to get as many people as possible in there, why wouldn't you say no to that? I mean, right. It's just like logic.
They own the track, so they can determine what's being flown in that track and what's not.
Yeah, it's their property, their rules, and I don't even want to get into the politics of it. It's like, it's just a business decision. I would have made the same decision, and I'm a free speech absolutist, but then free speech does not apply to private property. Okay. Free speech applies to the government saying you can't do it. Right. I can't go into your house and start screaming expletive because it's your house.
That's like when one of those ESPN commentators goes off the rail and ESPN fires them, and everybody starts hollering free speech, and they're like, no. ESPN is not the government.
Yeah,
You're only
exactly.
protected from the government with
Mhm.
free speech. Your job is at stake.
Right, right. Well, it was also again at the Mexico Grand Prix. Liam Lawson for the RB, whatever the crazy name of that team is, he got
Red
into some
Bull,
little, you know,
RB, Red Bull.
yeah, well, Buzz, yeah, but he got into some altercations on the track with various people, and Sergio Perez got really mad at him, and they were like fighting. He's saying that he was blocking him, keeping him from lapping him, and everything. And when he but then Lawson gave him the finger. Cool, I like that in a driver. Of course, the next day he was there apologizing. Why? Because his boss and Red Bull and the other sponsors going, hey, we don't like our guys giving the finger. Please
Yeah.
apologize. Okay. I like the finger. I think the finger is fun. Some drivers need the finger.
Which finger would you like, Tony? I'll give you one now.
Oh boy. But it's like the FIA was saying they wanted to ban foul language in the news conferences, and everybody's saying free speech. I go, nobody's saying they can't say bad words, different things. It's a news conference. They race all around the world. Your
Right.
values and your morality doesn't exactly jibe with everybody else around the world. In fact, they even races in some countries where saying an obscenity in public is against the law.
That's right.
Okay. Why would you want to have that prop? Why would you want, you know, just
Right.
you know, it's a
And
news
it's their
conference.
company, their series. They can run it how they see fit. And if you don't like how they run it, well, then you can go somewhere else.
Yeah. And it's a news conference. Your word's going to be heard all around the world. And there are a lot of fans out there who are young. Why do you want to be cussing out when there maybe you have an eight-year-olds and 9-year-olds listening to it also? I mean,
That's
just have
right.
a little self
I
control.
mean, they do have a lot of people following them,
Right.
but probably not as much as the Oversteer online, the
Oh,
podcast.
I mean, I got paparazzi outside my house right now. I can hear them waiting for
I
me to
know I
come in.
can hear them banging on your door.
Yeah.
I'm in a secret location, so they can't find me.
Wait, you're your super secret, extra super secret bunker.
Yeah, I'm in the Bat Cave.
Yeah. which has a which has a secret tunnel underneath to Shorty's Barbecue and Chick-fil-A and Starbucks.
And the
um,
pizza parlor
oh yeah, I want to talk about something here.
there. Okay.
Saturday we went up, me and you and another friend of ours, we went up to Sebring and we saw a US drift circuit, a drifting event up at Sebring. It was like there's a little series here in the Southeast United States. Way back when drifting first happened, we got involved with it a little bit, and then we just kind of like, nah, let's move on. And then we saw that we were up there to Saturday. What do you think of drifting?
Well, it's I mean, it fits perfectly with our podcast, our show. I mean, we're called Oversteer TV,
There you go.
and drifting is the ultimate in oversteer. I mean, it's the back end sliding.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's exactly what it is. You know, in NASCAR we call it loose,
Mm-hmm.
but in Formula One you call it oversteer. And for those that don't know, oversteer is when you turn the car and it turns too much, and then the back end comes around,
Yeah.
which is drifting.
Well, the best explanation I've heard.
I like drifting, even though it's not really competitive like racing as far as whoever finishes first
Mhm.
wins. It's more of a judged competition,
Right.
sort of like ice skating, or uh, like gymnastics or
Right.
something, where
Right.
you're judged on your technique and
Mm-hmm.
ability and things like that. You're not necessarily timed,
Right.
or it doesn't really pay to finish in front of somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Which makes it a little different, but
it
it's
is
still
carpentry.
very good. The skill is still the same.
It reminds me of being a kid the first time you see a car burning out and you thought, oh man, that's cool. And I'm into my early 60s. I'm 63 now, and still when I see a car burn out, like, oh man, that's cool, you know. So I like it. The best explanation I've ever heard of oversteer and understeer is like understeer is when you lose control and you hit the wall head on. Oversteer is when you lose control and you hit the wall back end.
All right,
You know?
back in.
Yeah, so it was good. We might be doing something with them in the future, hopefully. Maybe I'll even give these guys a call, see if we can get one of them on the show and we could talk about it. I like to help the see if we can help the local people around here and see if we can get them to do some stuff there. What else is there? NASCAR's in Martinsville, right?
NASCAR's in Martinsville. That's the last race before the championship for the final race in Phoenix.
You think Kyle Larson's going to do it? Get in?
Yes, the two guys are locked in. There's two more spots.
Who are locked in?
Tyler Riddeck and Joey Logano.
Guy's always there at the end, huh?
Yeah, I call him Mr. October.
Martinsville is a short track. You think Larson's got it in him to win that race? To get in?
I think I'm not gonna change. I think that Kyle Larson, it's a very good track for him. In fact, all the tracks are good tracks for Kyle Larson. I read a quote from Tony Stewart because they were asking Tony Stewart about Kyle Larson saying that he was a better driver than Max Verstappen, and that he could go and win in Formula One and beat Max Verstappen. And they asked Tony Stewart about that, and he says there's drivers that, you know, he's sure that if Max Verstappen went to NASCAR that he could, after a certain amount of time, could run up front, you know, and be a great driver. He said, but then there's other kinds of drivers that can step into the car and win right then immediately. And he says that's the kind of driver that Kyle Larson is. He's like a one in a generation driver, you know, that they come along once in a generation, and he's that guy. So that's pretty high praise from Tony Stewart.
Yeah, that is. So, F1 during Brazil. Who's your pick?
Well, I'm gonna have to go with LeClerc. Because you know the Ferraris are dominating right now, and I think that's a good track for them also. So I'm going to pick one of the Ferraris. I know you're going to want to pick Sainz, so I'll pick LeClerc.
I want Sainz so that I can rub it into Ferrari's thing. You see, I was right.
But yeah, I'm definitely going with the Ferrari.
All right. Anything else?
I think that's got it all.
That's got it all. We did a good show. It's going to be fun. Can't wait. Hopefully I get to see Lando Norris cry.
I don't think that's going to happen. He'll probably finish on the podium.
I love it during they're doing the interview, walking with Lando. I don't know if you've seen the video at Mexico before the race. They're walking. The reporter, and they're just going to start talking with Lando as they're walking, and Carlos Sainz walks by and passes him and gives him a tap right in the nuts, like really, like those, and he's like doubled over Lando Norris, and I go, Sainz did the same thing to him at the race too. Anyway, like, share, give us some comments. Make fun of the fact that we're both on another podcast called The Fantastic Four about the Miami Dolphins. So have pity on us. We're suffering this year.
Yeah, at least we can be happy with the Oversteer podcast.
Yeah. So anything else? Last chance.
No, I think that's covered it. I can't think of anything right now.
We're in that time of the season where the only racing pretty much going on is Formula One and NASCAR. We do have a WC race coming up soon to finish their season. I think it's in Bahrain. Other than that, year's almost over. So we'll see you next week. Oversteer TV, the podcast. Like, share, comment. You know,
this finger. Okay.
That finger. Later, guys.